Good afternoon. I'm Richard Moore with Graywolf Woodworks. Today I'll be presenting how to make a rubber, a fad, or an applicator for applying shellac in the French polishing process. What we'll be going over today is all the materials involved in making a rubber, along with how to use it and how to care for it. So you don't have to just have a one-off type item. It's not very expensive. You do have a few things to get together. So it'll take a few moments. I'll get a few things together real quick and I'll show you what you need. So first things first, you should protect your hands. The shellac itself is not bad for you at all. Actually, shellac has been used in food products and as well as medications like aspirin and so forth, coating pills for well over 100 years. But the gloves are for the alcohol. Your skin's the largest organ in your body, and alcohol can be transmitted into your body via osmosis. There are chemicals in this particular denatured alcohol that I'm using, and you can use isopropyl alcohol as well, but there are items in it that aren't necessarily great for your body either. Either way, best thing to do is just protect yourself. A 1 pound cut of shellac that I prepared from myself. Over here I have a 2 pound cut that I mixed a few days ago. About half of it ended up going in there, mixed with some other stuff. This is a very simple polish that I mixed up. It's shellac, alcohol, and a gum mastic mixed together, dissolved together. The gum mastic holds itself in suspension, whereas the shellac is held in solution. So you do still have to shake it up a little bit to get a few things off the bottom. As far as what the gum mastic does, it's a resin. It derives from the sap and the roots of certain trees, and it's mined from the ground from some of these ancient forests in portions of Africa. So yeah, I'll show that there. This is alcohol. We'll get to the alcohol real quick. We'll go over that. The type of alcohol I'm using is denatured alcohol. You can pick it up at any hardware store. This is 190 proof. Pretty much it's used in stove fuel, which is a lot cleaner. But again, it still has materials in it to make it undrinkable. That's federal law. It's grain alcohol, but it's not safe for your body. Mohawk makes a product, same type thing. It's denatured alcohol. They call it shellac thinner or shellac reducer, but it's still basically the same thing. There's a few more chemicals in this than there are in the other. All right, you'll need a little something to work on. This is a palette. This is a disposable palette. It's called an onion board. It's used in the body shops, body repair, sign painting, pinstriping, lettering, that type of thing. It's really good for, working out the rubber. And I've got some prepared rubbers here in this one jar. So we'll pull one out. I'll show you how to use it. I'll show you how I load it and give you an idea what the interior portion of this looks like. And then we'll go over the items that will go into one of these. And then from there, we'll actually put one together. So let me set this out of the way. And we'll get this one out. This one is currently a fairly new fad. And I've used it enough to where it's a little dried out. So it's not dry, but it's not wet either. So we'll unwrap this. This is a little bigger than some of the other ones I've made. It's almost a 12 by 12 square of fabric and it's a 12 by 12 square of cotton padding or matting. So, and I'll show you what that product looks like coming out of its wrapper in just a few moments. We'll go over all those ingredients in a few moments. So I always load these from the inside, put a little alcohol in there and a little bit of shellac. Almost pushed that in a little too far. Wad this back up again. Hold this, and I generally just use my fingers to hold the ingredients, the cotton wadding, which is called a fad. And this is probably not good for the camera, but I'm going to make a minor adjustment. That's probably better for you guys to visually see. So you can see what I'm doing. All right, so I grab all this excess fabric after I make that first tuck. I give it a couple of good twists. What we're looking for is a little bit of a point on one end. It's not a perfect point. It's like an odd shaped potato. I was taught to try to make it shaped like a pear, and I don't always get there. However, it's more important to have a general good shape, but have a nice flat, even, no wrinkles, no creases on the bottom. This is where it's going to be touching the surface of your work, including up here near that point. And this is so you can get into some detailed areas, like say working some moldings and maybe say the edge of a drawer front, anywhere it would have a molding protruding from it, so you can get in and apply the shellac and polish right in those corners. And then you can use the rest of it to work on the field. So it's kind of like having, like if you were using a brush, it's like having two brushes in one. Except you don't have to worry about brush strokes. Never be afraid to press these things down really hard, slam them down hard on the palette. That distributes all the alcohol and the shellac together evenly. So what you end up with is probably a half a pound or maybe a little bit less as far as a cut. So it's a very thin shellac. So I'll set this to the side for a second. I'm going to bring over, I got a sample board that I've been using, I guess, off and on for a couple of weeks. It was a raw piece of wood about maybe 3-4 weeks ago. I did a finishing class in Hickory for one of the woodworking clubs there. I had a good time putting on it's a nice little, pretty much a lecture seminar, and I showed them a few things. And I pulled out a rubber from a jar, very quickly loaded it, sort of what I just did, and just started applying shellac. So I got maybe 1 or 2 quick applications, really rubbing it in. I am pushing down on this. I don't know if you can hear this on the microphone or not, but if you hear rubbing sounds, that's the rag going across this rubber, working across, and it's wet. So therefore, the alcohol is reacting with the dried shellac, and it's beginning to move it around. And I feel resistance in this rag, and I can't tell you how to feel, but once you feel this, I guess probably the closest thing to it is hitting tough grain with a hand plane, and you get little chatter marks. And that's sort of what you get pushing this around. And there are things you can do to alleviate that, but today we're just going to focus on making the rubber. And I'll just roughly show you how I'm going to use this. And as you can tell, I'm getting some chatter here and there, and that's okay. But primarily, I'm focusing on keeping this nice and even. And I can set this right here for a minute. I can pick this up, and you can tell I'm building up a pretty good finish. And these are really, really super thin coats. It's not very thick, but yeah, you can see the reflection of the light coming through the window, and you can see the light above the camera that I got shining against the ceiling. So, with that, let me put this back in the jar. I don't want it to dry out too much. So there are some options here. This is what the cotton padding looks like. It's, I don't know, maybe an 1/8 inch thick. It's quilt-like. I guess it's semi-woven material. I think it's more of a non-woven material, but this is 100% cotton, unbleached, which is really what you want. So this will be the ingredients inside the cotton cloth. So this will be called the Fad. This will make a small one. This is a little bit bigger, not much. Same stuff. Alternatives for internal portions. You could use cheesecloth. I use cheesecloth for all kinds of things in finishing. Working with shellac, I can use it to strain shellac. Occasionally, when you mix your own shellac, you do have to strain it sometimes. I don't always, but some of the stuff you get, it's a little trashy, and it may not completely dissolve all the way. So this is kind of a coarse weave. I guess it's probably somewhere between 60 and 80 threads per inch. And this is more of a fine weave, it's probably about 90 threads per inch, maybe maybe a little bit more. Like I said, it's great for straining. I also use it to apply, grain filler. If I make up a paste, you can use that to rub it in. I use it to apply wax. I keep a wad in one of my wax jars. I use it to apply wax. Works really great. Stains, colorants, dyes, as well as shellac. You can use it to apply shellac with. And it wads well, it packs well. I like it. It's a good general purpose thing to have around. That's unbleached, 100% cotton cheesecloth. I like the unbleached. It's just, less chance of contaminants getting into what you're working on. We have next, just cotton wadding. This is raw, unbleached, low processed cotton. It's still got parts of the plant in it. You can buy this along with the batting or padding, whatever you want to call it, at hobby shops, anywhere that sells sewing materials, quilting materials, upholstery materials, all that. I think this natural cotton batting is like $5. It may have gone up since I bought this. I haven't. This has been around for about 6 months or a year. I'm working off of the original pack that I had because I just took it and cut it up in squares and laid it in stacks. So I haven't even opened this package yet. It's probably right at a year old. You can buy a bag of this and it goes a long way. This is good specifically for making internal portions or a Fad for a rubber. So then you've got the outside. And this is sometimes, in some cases, I guess, a little harder to find, but it's what I strive for. And this is just plain old undyed linen, cotton linen, whatever you want. It's just really fine thread, soft, mainly old bed sheets, pillowcases, old cloth napkins. I've got some stuff where I cut up an old tablecloth that was really fine and soft. A coarse one, the coarse threads, if it's a coarse thread, it'll leave marks in the finish. Kind of like having a really coarse-haired brush. It will leave marks in the finish. But you want something super, super soft. I've tested these. These are out of the same collection of bed sheets. And you can see where I singed it. I just took a lighter and burned it and then put it out. And then most all the ash just fell away. Whereas this one time, but I bought this. This was in a collection of sheets. This happened to be, mixed in with some cotton. And it's got either rayon or nylon or polyester in it. And it sticks to your fingers, and it sticks to itself. You can see where that's sticking to itself. And I can pull it apart, but that's not something you want to be using in your shellac. The alcohol will react with some of the synthetic materials in this fabric, and it could cause problems with your finish. So I just keep this around to show people how you test for that. I know sometimes you just have to go with your gut. You're not going to be able to stand in a junk shop or an old linen shop or a Goodwill or anything like that and strike a match or a lighter to these fabrics. They're not going to let you. But if you spend $10 on a bunch of sheets and you need to go through and make sure they're all cotton, that's the way to do it. You just need to strike a match to a corner. Do it somewhere safe, maybe safer than where I did that just a few minutes ago, so that you don't start a house fire. Because that's the last thing I want to see anybody do is, well, he told me to light it. Well, go outside, do it somewhere safer than I did it. So I'm going to take another minute, get a few things out of the way, and then we will take the contents that I showed you, and we'll make a rubber. So that's basically it. 2 physical ingredients plus the alcohol and the shellac, gloves to protect your hands, and a palette. Let's take that and fold it in half. And then let me do this a different way then. Let's see how it does. Yeah. Because this is not a perfect square. And it's okay if you do it that way. This just happens to be one of the ways it works for me. It's not 100% how I was shown to do it the first few times. But working with this material and wanting to come up with a reasonable shape, this is sort of what's worked. So what you got here is kind of an odd shape here, but I do have a point, and I've got it to where I can really work this thing. So with that, I'll unfold it, get some of this loose out of there. And I'll break out my alcohol dispensing bottle, which is just a comfortable way of storing it and dispensing it for this use. And I'll just wet this thing down with alcohol. And we'll fold it back up. Give it a couple rolls and some twists. And I'll squeeze it all out on this palette. And then I'll let this pick it back up. And I got this one really, really wet, which is nothing wrong with that. I mean, first of all, the alcohol is it will evaporate, so it's not a problem. But this gives me a chance to work this thing down, saturate all this cotton, and just get a feel for it in my hand and try to get a little bit of a shape. I mean, like I said, You see there, I done got ash all over off my thumb. I didn't clean my hand too good. But we'll grab this right here. Alcohol is a pretty good cleaner, so I think that'll be fine. Get this off my thumb. And that took care of most of it. Got a little sloppy. But you know what? It'll be okay. Okay. So now I'll bring my cloth over. And the cloth's a little big, but it'll be okay. Because what'll happen over time as you wear this cloth down is you can move everything around. But I'll start out with the cloth laying diagonally. So I got a point and a point. I will take this, push it into one hand, and I will pull the cloth taut across that rubber, or across the fad, excuse me. Pull this down to a nice point, and I'll start twisting. And then you'll find that you will have to wrap, work with, and then unwrap and rewrap. All this multiple times to get everything feeling right and looking right and behaving right. Meet your needs for what you want. But you want a nice, smooth, wrinkle-free surface. You don't be afraid to slap that thing down there on the pallet and really flatten it out. So this is what I'm getting. I got a little point here. So if I need to get into a corner, say like you're doing a small curio cabinet, you got shelves, you've already built it. You want to get into the vertical upright in the corner of that shelf. You can just rub that in there, work it in both directions. Keep it even and smooth. And that's what you're looking for when you're doing that. So you don't get, things being piled, finished piling up in places. I know you've seen that. I've done it with brushwork as well, working with varnishes and urethanes and so forth. And occasionally you'll get a finish that's kind of piled up in a corner. That doesn't bond real well long term. It doesn't dry real well. And then so what will happen is it'll separate from the surface. And just tuck the loose fabric up in your all right. So we'll unwrap this. Like I said, I got a little. I can make this bigger, but it's not important for what we're demonstrating today. I can make it bigger another day. I can add some material to it. So what I dispense my shellac with, this is basically, it's about a pint. I guess a heavy pint maybe. Give or take a little bit. Just a old bleach bottle era, probably 50s, maybe 60s, could be earlier. Purchased from a junk shop. Yes, it was full of dirt. I soaked it and cleaned it, and I'm going to load this up with some good amount of shellac. Load it from the inside always. Give it just a little squirt of some alcohol. Doesn't need much. So what you're ending up with is, give or take a little bit, approximately half-pound cut. Could be a little less. Overall, this thing is wet. Don't be afraid of that. And yeah, I can probably do it this way too. But I like the way this feels. It's just a little more comfortable for me. If you want it fairly taut, you definitely want your fabric to pull tight across the Fad. So the Fad's the interior part. Everything else combined is a rubber. This one is extremely wet, which is nothing wrong with it, but I'm squeezing this out on this pallet, and then I'm drawing it back into the rubber, and that's distributing everything evenly within the whole package. And see, as wet as it is, because I can really squeeze it and put a big puddle out here, as wet as it is, I can lay this down on a surface and it'll hold it. It'll hold its material. So I'm going to switch hands. Give this a little quick dry so I don't leave fingerprints on this thing. I probably will anyway. We'll bring the sample board back up. And we will start working this bad boy. It's probably a little wetter than it should have been, but you know, it's over the long haul, it's not going to hurt anything. But I laid down, I put a fair amount of weight on this. Again, there's probably a little more alcohol in all this than there is shellac. And of course, there's plenty of shellac on the surface already. So what this is doing is burning in and making it so that I can force more shellac into the grain, filling the grain, making this more of a solidified surface. And you can do straight lines like I'm doing here, or you can do circles. I'm starting to get some friction, which is fine. You start getting a little too much friction, just let it set for a little while. Let it all flash off. That's one way of doing it. The other way is to lubricate the surface. Just lubricate the pad a little bit, just a couple drops of oil, and it'll just do its job. Eventually, you'll have to come back and do a spiriting on this rubber to remove any of the oil. All the oil does is just makes the finished surface a little softer. So I moved some stuff around. It's not quite as glossy as it was, but it's still got plenty of finish on it. So we'll let that set and dry. And pull this back over here. This is a small rubber. Let's talk about storing your rubbers. Right now I have 3 large containers. I guess these would be roughly a quart. And they all have rubbers in them, varying sizes, all pretty much the same materials. Some have been used more than others. This I've used for spiriting off. This I've used for getting things started. This I've used some color, like some yellow or shellac in it. This one I've used pigments in. What is in here? Yeah. So it's still cotton padding. And as you can tell, there are, let me set that there. There are holes in this fabric. And there's a lot of pigment in here. I've forced pigment into a board, into the grain, along with some pumice. And I use this particular rubber. And the way I do that, and that's why I said, you know, it's okay if I have a little more fabric, because I can, you know, if I wear a hole through it, I can just move the fabric around. And this is not pretty, what I just did as far as rewinding it, but give you a rough idea of what it looks like. What I have in here, I got 1, 2, 3, 4 of these guys. These are all good. This thing is almost a year old. It's still in good shape. This one's a little younger. What does it feel? It feels kind of, yeah, it's the same thing. So just, I'd kind of gotten into the habit of using the cotton padding or matting, because it's efficient, it's inexpensive, and it does a really good job versus using a lot of other items. This, if you put them in an airtight container, you could use a mason jar if you'd prefer, whatever's the most economical for you. But if it starts to dry, if they start to dry out, just shoot a little alcohol in here. Gravity will take care of the rest. And it's got a gasket in it. Just close it really nice. I generally keep these in a closet. That closet right over there, I store various finishing items in there, and extra things I just don't need out in the open in the shop. So I can make some room for this guy. There's several fads in here, and then several more in this other container. So depending on what I'm doing, I've got various phases. If I'm using a colored shellac, or I'm planning on using any pigments, then I've got several fads in here that I can pick from. So, and this is a good example of why I like these right here. When you're done with it, you just pitch it, you throw it away. That is how I make a rubber. Please give us a like. We welcome questions and comments. You can visit us at ncwoodworker.org or ncwoodworker.net to learn more about us and check out some of our events. Thank you so much for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the future. Afternoon. Oh yeah, this is not going to go well. Oh, Jesus.